put your mind on. They probably can't do it if they ain't do it. Trying to convince a nigga who did it. They said I couldn't get this far without a distro. Finna go better like Cisco. Man, I got a backyard. I'm still in this bitch. Childhood home, I was little in this bitch. Went through it, I can tell you how to do it. Niggas look gas, I can tell you how to do it. Made it this far off work. I put it off work, so I cut it for the church owners. You know what I work, baby? You ain't gotta go into your purse. You can set your own pace when you first. Got it off the dirt. Finally found mud in my heart. It's priceless, I tell you what it's worth. Black boy,
go get your shine on. You do anything you put your mind on. Everybody can't do it if they ain't do it. Trying to convince a nigga who done did it.
I said, black girl, go get your shine on. You do anything you put your mind on. They probably can't do it
if they ain't do it.
Trying to convince a nigga.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, family? Hope all is well. What's today? Friday. It's holiday for some of y'all. I had to remember. My bad. But yeah, even to what young brother LaRussa was just mentioning, there's a lot of things going on, popping up and stuff. One thing that I could tell you about all of these particular processes, 1099s, UCCs, all of that, make a motherfucker show you receipts, fam. Make them show you what they have done. Make them provide evidence. Don't just be giving people money. Even if you can look at their social proof. The biggest receipt somebody can show you in today's society is their social media, fam. Peace, peace. What's going on, Shrugs? So just understanding that, like, based on my personal development and elevation, and also the amount of people I've been able to help throughout the years, I have receipts, I have testimonies, people can vouch and verify that I've done this and done that. If people don't have these type of track records, I'm not saying come to me. It's a lot of people who got good track records. But if people don't have these type of track records, be very leery, especially all these new people popping up. Make them show and prove that this shit they telling you work, fam. But even still, all right, we in the second quarter, right? Back in October, November, December, like when we had first started the mastermind, I got on the videos, I'm telling people, you need to be in a position to, by the time the second quarter come around, you're going to be able to execute properly. And now look at what's happening come the second quarter. FEDNOW is going to release. And for those of you who don't know, FEDNOW is going to be a 24-hour instant payment system, just like Cash App. And they're dropping pretty much 2 months. So what, June, they'll be releasing FEDNOW. So that's the end of the second quarter. As I told you all, there'll be an economic transition that you'll have to be aware of, and it's going to dramatically change our economy. So it's going to affect the credit system. The credit system is already being affected. Interest rates are being hiked up crazy. And like, even it's hard to get loans for property. Banks are shutting down. So for those of you who heeded my warning, for what you should be doing right now is leveraging your credit, and you should be like acquiring tax deeds, tax liens, transferring your fiat dollars into something that will be leverageable, because we see it in today's society. For those of you who don't know about BRICS, shout out to my man Blair. He had mentioned it when we was doing the Inky video the other day on American Hiller. And he mentioned BRICS. BRICS is a group of multiple countries that are coming together in order to abandon the United States dollar. And they are establishing a cryptocurrency. So United States will no longer be number one. We have literally watched Joe Biden single-handedly disrupt the United States economic situation. We live in a capitalist society that's based on debt. Almost. The United States is here. Everything that we use, this came from China. This probably came from China. I know this didn't come from the United States. These ain't come from the United States. Like, even the shirt that I'm wearing didn't come from the United States. We don't produce a lot of things within our country. So our stability of our economic situation is dependent on a lot of our contracts with other countries, such as China, Russia. And now that these people want to abandon the petrodollar and pretty much say that they're going to move on their own standard, it says a lot about our current leadership and the way that they understand business. It is so important to understand what's happening right now, because they're saying close to 250,000 jobs have been created. I know multiple people who are unemployed right now looking for jobs. And I'm like, who's getting these jobs? All of these immigrants that Joe Biden just allowed to come in from Ukraine and stuff. because it's not the people that we know, or these aren't high paying jobs. And what good is it to have a job if you making $18 an hour? With inflation, you pretty much making $8 an hour, fam, because of the price of the food. You have to think of when me and my empress, we was talking about this last night. You have to understand the business breakdown of what's happening. So when you see, when we outsource like in the hair industry, this is exactly what I was talking about. She do hair. So in the hair industry, like Jam or the holding spray of sisters, y'all know what I'm talking about. It went from, I used to go get her products for, and like I asked her, I was like, how much do it cost now? They went from pretty much $13 a container to almost $21 a container. And the really good stuff that don't have chemicals is going for almost $40 a container now. So that means this is something that's being outsourced. They have to pay for shipping to come in, and they also have to pay this rate per inflation. And this is more than likely coming from China. So China-based product that you have to pay for, and then the price has been hiked up. There's nothing you can do about it. That means we then have to hike up our prices for all of our end customers. So you have to understand the systematic snowball situation that happens when inflation happens. It affects all of us, even the so-called entrepreneurs are self-employed, because everybody uses products or services that have a dollar sign on it. And the lower the value of the dollar here, the more that affects our economic situation. So, like, you may think that you have $20, in reality, your $20 is the value of what now is $10. So we just have to be mindful of that. And man, like, and once again, back to these processes, it's a bunch of stuff going right now. So, and this is another I told you so moment, because first I told you so moment was like, watch out for what's happening in the second quarter. The United States is their major transition, major economic transition on the world stage, and a lot of people will lose jobs. So one thing that I've been telling you all, make sure that you have a digital presence. If you like, first make sure y'all join the masterclass. Y'all got any questions, tap in with me, shoot me DMs. Let me make sure I put the banner up so y'all know how to reach me. Well, my bad. I'm over here tripping, fam. But there we go. So if y'all need to contact me, you for sure can text me on this number, 248-325-8702. Or you can reach me on any of my social medias, D Jones Bay on Facebook, Prince of Hemp on Instagram. Now, back to business. So as it pertains to a lot of these processes, like as I told everybody, you can't get away from the Uniform Commercial Code. That is a standard for business. They also have the laws for how we're supposed to engage with digital currency. Cryptocurrency falls underneath that particular parameter. So the UCC isn't going anywhere. It's just going to have more laws added into it. So we're going to end up seeing a revision come soon. Same way how we seen the Article 9 revisions when it went from 1-207 to 1-308, when people are reserving their rights. But main reason why I mention that is because every particular process that anyone has utilized, the Uniform Commercial Code is still being present. And I was talking to one of my elders as it pertains to, dealing with SEC and some of these transactions. You can see like the bank of, you can see bank transactions with them operating in conjunctions with other loans, other people's instruments, and they're operating in a trust capacity. And what they do is they follow UCC on all of this stuff. So you have to have an understanding of how the system works in order so that you can assert yourself in it so that you can benefit it from it. So having a security interest is very important if you're going to make a claim on anything, including a certificate, any form of asset, if you a birth certificate, driver's license, any of this stuff. You can't get around it without doing a Uniform Commercial Code, a security agreement, UCC 1. And then if you have to make an assignment with the UCC 3, and by the assigning it, you're going to oh man, y'all got to just join the class. It's too much to get into right now. I've been saying this shit for 10 years. Oh no, what's going on, y'all? What you said, fam? You said UCC is standard and operating agreement. It is. So this is standard for commercial activity. So for any, and then there's I'm about to say I don't mind shouting people out because if the information can help somebody, I hope it helps somebody. Like one of my peers, they had sent me a video from this sister named Tamika. I know some of y'all have probably seen this stuff floating around. because apparently somebody was selling her process, and this is another reason why I don't mind speaking on it. Somebody was selling her process, so she came back and she decided she was going to give it for free, which I don't disagree with. I do that often. So, just she has a very good procedure in the way that she discharges debt. And one way that she does it, she mentions the utilization of the UCC, and she was talking about the utilization of the UCC 11. So, getting a certified copy of a UCC 11 in order to pull if there's active liens on you or any active liens on any property that you own. And then when you have a securitized interest or you have a UCC one on file, it puts you in a position to where you can make a claim or you can fight against somebody else's claim. You just have to provide evidence of their claim being void. And the best way to do that is through ultraviaries, through the initial generation of a contract. If you can find fraud in any form of the contract, and we have like we gonna go over this in the mastermind when we go over the status correction class. Forgive me for it being so late. A bunch of new people joined the mastermind, and then we had to reset because my my team is making me go through a rebranding stage right now. So they're getting a bunch of stuff done. But we should be on point this month for us to get back on for the status correction class. But the UCC 11 showing that there is no lien in place for you, and then that you have the premier lien, and then going back into expressing the fraud through ultraviaries. Ultraviaries mean if there is any point of that there is fraud found in a contract, the contract is considered void from the beginning. So if you can find mail fraud, wire fraud, securities fraud in any contract, you can then go back and dispute this, and then you can put it in a position. So let's just break it down. Very simple. Same thing. And then I taught this with the commercial lien process. Y'all remember when I used to get a CDs out for that. So if any of y'all have been in any of my classes previously, y'all have learned about how to do a commercial lien through the UCC one. So it's the same exact process when you are going through a default judgment. So you make your initial affidavit, and I heard baby girl say she don't make affidavits. Fuck that. I need a paper trail because I sue people. So like I do the affidavit, and we list out all of the different levels of fraud. We explain that we understand that there was a currency conversion that occurred when we deposited our initial promissory note. So with me being in the position that I'm in, with me controlling my entity and me understanding that if it's anything that's going through that all cap entity is pretty much considered a trust. If even though if it hasn't been expressed, that's the way it is. And ignorance of the law is no excuse regardless of who you are. So if they breach the trust, they violate the trust, I have the ability to, express that in paper and also tell them that I want my money because I got all this stuff documented. So we find the fraud. The fraud is expressed through the currency conversion. Once again, it's a promissory note that's made when you sign for the property, right? They then deposit the promissory note into the treasury. And this is another reason why that video from Tamika was important, because through the TDA account is where a lot of currency conversions happen. And then you also have to understand that what banks are, they're pretty much they hold assets under management. They're security transfer agents. So a bank is nothing more than a middleman in order for securities to transfer through. And how she also expressed, the fiat dollars are securities as well. So always be able to identify the security as it's being transferred. So the promissory note is a security, and it gets transferred into the treasury, and then it gets converted over into cash book money. The cash book money then is turned around and offered to you as a loan, because banks legally cannot lend their own credit. So then they tell you that they're extending their credit to you, even though it's actually coming from your own energy, from your own commercial activity. So by understanding this, expressing this on paper, and this is probably my third time saying this shit on camera. By expressing this on paper, you put yourself in a position, and then of course you want to find the codes. Just look up mail fraud codes, security fraud codes, and also ultraviaries. And then there's merchant laws that are attached to this. But if you need help with the documentation, we already got this stuff established. Just reach out to me. If you need help with the mortgage, and it's pretty much the same exact process for auto rescission for a vehicle, fam. Yeah, I'm about to say. So what you I don't want to bring you on camera, bro, but I do want to know what you have to say about it. Yeah. I'm about to say, if you want to come on, you more than welcome. Yeah, I would love to hear what the banker had mentioned about the particular transaction aspect. That way, people know I'm just not talking shit because, like, done a lot of studying. I have been able to acquire a lot of I've been able to acquire a strong network of people, very wealthy people, based on the information and the type of business that I do. And a lot, in all honesty, a lot of it came from me knowing how the UCC worked, and then that put me in a position to where I inherited the cannabis company, and then that put me in a whole nother bracket of commerce when I moved down here in Florida. And it all came from understanding how contracts work, fam. But I was, man, I'm trying to tell you, it's a lot easier to have an understanding of this stuff versus, and when you start doing contracts versus you trying to go back and correct it. So if you're young, this conversation is more so for you than the people who have to go back and fix things. But if you do have to go back and fix things, this is the way that you do it. You have to expose the fraud. You send out the initial affidavit. You send it out registered mail because that is insured, bonded, and then somebody has to be notified that they get that. And then you give them a time frame in which they have to respond. Then you send out your second notice. If they don't respond to that, you send out your default notice. And then after that, then you apply a lien against them. And then the lien will have to be lifted in court. But you utilize all of this as your evidence. Then you go get a motion, and then you file a case against the bank who has issued you the loan. So you can also waive the fees. That way you don't have to pay for the filing of the motion. All you have to do in certain states is called different things. I know in Georgia it's called a poverty form. In Michigan it's like a papyrus form. But all you have to do is tell them I'm insolvent and I can't afford to pay for the court case. I'm looking for a document that can help me. And sometimes they have it in the court's law library, or the clerk usually has that for you. So that'll help you save a lot of money whenever you pressing people. But that's the reason why some people aren't getting remedy, because they're not willing to take it to the court. Oh, I'm about to say, shit, come on, bro. You don't mind? I'm about to shoot you the link. Here we go, right here. Come on in. I'm about to say, I for sure want to know. Boom, here we go. Bro, about to come on in. You about to talk about this conversation with a banker and how currency conversion works. But even still, like, I just dropped a lot of game on y'all. If you can piece it together, you can do very well in some of the things that y'all are trying to do. But of course, your status has everything to do with the manner in which you interact in today's society. One of my elders, he took the same status correction that I have. That I already had a correction, and he had gave me some stuff in order to even type my stuff up even better. This is why you got to appreciate your mentors and your elders. So he had the stuff that he helped me to adjust my stuff with. He went and took those documents, and he was able to just do a discharge just by simply showing his status correction. No, nothing extra. They just wiped the debt. It'd be so funny, fam, because people make it so difficult. But it's when you express your intent and all of your things are in order, and you know what you know, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do what they're supposed to do. And when you also know the right people to communicate with, when you talking to these people, trustees, and these people's companies and these CFOs, I see you, bro. Here you go. You popping in. Yo, peace. What's going on, bro?
Not much. Just right here at work. Um,
You always working every time I talk to you.
yeah, gotta get it. Slave and
I ain't
converted.
mad at it.
Something. Yeah. But no, I was in a room on a Clubhouse the other day. Unfortunately, I didn't get to pick dude's brain as much as I wanted because people were on that blackity black shit, and it was a white. It was a white boy, and he was a chief executive. And what was it? In the real estate type side of the banking. But when I came in the room, they were banging on him about some history and stuff, and then he had threw that out there that he was a bank manager. an executive. So, I got in there and I was trying to ask simple questions so people could see, what their injuries are. Like you could see, like there's remedy to it if you know the background of it. So I asked him, can banks loan money? Or no, do banks loan their own money? And he kind of tried to talk around, double speak and stuff. And I was like, do banks loan their own money or do they wait for us to deposit and then you loan that money out, at an interest? And he's like, well, like, he finally came out and said, yeah, we wait for you guys to deposit and we invest that. Uh, I can't remember the word, like educated investments, to get returns, and then that's the money that they loan out, that they would consider their own money, but it's really just investing your money smartly, wisely. So then I was like, so every account is FDIC, insured. Like, where do those policies go? Because I know nobody's claiming them or putting in claims, for defaults or anything like that. So what happens to this 250,000 per account? And he said that's also, something that they utilize in investments to get returns and loan out and invest into other insurance policies on the back end. Because I believe it's like high 80% of bank investments is in insurance policies. So they utilize your account insurance policy and they invest that, as well as, I think the notes would be, the investment
Okay.
would be the loans that they give out.
No, okay, so they are they are doing a conversion. Well, also it's based on a bank agreement that you sign with every bank institution. This is the reason why it's beneficial for you to retitle your account and express that they're not supposed to do certain things without your permission. So, but this is the same thing I was telling one of my peers. Like, how you gonna claim the credits on transactions if the transactions never occurred? Like, if you stop the fraud, how are you going to be able to benefit from these transactions as it pertains to credits? You feel me? It's
So
going to
you
get
kind
the
of want
base
to let
level of
it go. You
money
just
that you deposit in.
Are you saying you want it to basically
What'd you
happen? You
say,
just
bro?
want. Are you saying that you want it to happen? You don't want to stop it. You just want to have it documented in the contract properly. Is that what you're saying?
If it never happened, the United States would not be what it is right now.
That's
That's
fact.
how people are able to come over here and make so much money. So it's
And
just
this is
like
the thing too. He said, because I asked him about the notes. I'm like, when you purchase a home, you have to sign a note, and a note is a negotiable instrument, right? And that's how the topic started, because they were talking about redlining and all the blackity black issues, and he was saying how,
blackity black issues.
yeah, like just dumb shit, like, um but I told him, like, if you get a loan, like, you have to give them your social, right, so they know if you're black or white, because he was trying to argue that they don't know. Like, they know, and even if they didn't know from the social, they know from your address the demographic that lives in that zip code, that area. But he said they don't utilize that number
Credit
for any.
redlining is real.
Only thing that they do, which was another gem that nobody like caught, I'm sure, was that they only utilize that number to make sure that it's a valid, proper entity. And I was like, an entity, like, and he said they attach a QSIP and then they trade it, but nobody caught the.
So who gives QSIPs? Who gives QSIPs? You either have to deposit through the TDA in order to get, well, through TD account in order for you to get a QSIP, or you have to register through the SEC as a broker in order to get a QSIP through registration. You have to go through a government to get a QSIP number in order for you to be traded on. So he clearly stated that there is financial transactions that are occurring.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. I mean, everything.
I'm about to say, no,
He
I'm just
tried to
reading
talk around. He
fam
tried to
comments.
talk.
I would love for you to elaborate.
You're cutting out. I don't know if that's me or.
Nah, I see it. Nah, I was reading this comment. He said y'all lost as lost can get. But I would love for him to elaborate on that statement.
Yeah, I'm confused on that one.
No, I'm just
Because like,
saying because everything that I do my best to mention, like I always give references, like I can refer you to the legal codes, also the Supreme Court references where these things have been documented to be true. I'm not a guru. I'm just a well-read individual.
yeah, and that was another thing too. He kept stating these. I gotta go look at my notes to see what it was exactly, but these laws, federal laws that protect from discrimination because of race and all this crap. And he kept saying it as his argument. So I asked him, like, so is that the guidelines and stipulations that I would utilize if injured to, file a tort or get, compensation for my injuries? And he kept trying. They're
No,
good.
because
Like, they're
you
trained to
wouldn't be
talk.
able to prove it. You wouldn't be able to prove it because it happens through the underwriting. The underwriters are the ones who look at the documentation.
He kept saying that too. He kept saying that.
I'm about to say the underwriter's the one who gonna look at the address you live in, your credit report, and they also gonna look at your race and be like, oh, this person more than likely isn't gonna pay this back. So let's just mark them up for like is and then it's based on the
And
type
that's
of
separate
people who are
from
working
them,
in the
right?
back.
Is that separate from them? Because
Go ahead, bro.
is that separate from the bank? Because he kept like the way he said it. It's like it was a separate entity
The
from them.
underwriting department, they got an under department in the bank.
Which is probably another entity though. Like they probably have it established as an entity, right? So it's separate from them.
Yeah, the underwriters are usually established as a third party.
Yeah, that's what he made it sound like. So yeah, you're on point. Everything you're saying.
Apparently, not to somebody we lost.
Yeah, we the
It's
lost
all
tribes.
G.
What everybody say. But yeah, I ain't
No,
have
it
much on.
just it,
I mean, I didn't get to go deep with them as I wanted would have liked to, but yeah, I thought that applied to what you were speaking on. So hope it
yeah,
was
bro.
beneficial.
I ain't plan on being long today at all. I just wanted to come make some points and like express that people for sure should look into FEDNOW. That shit is coming like this. Like we gonna look up into FEDNOW gonna be in place tomorrow, and then people gonna be looking stupid. And especially a lot of people who gonna have fiat reserves laying around their crib, they're gonna be forced to go deposit that. And if they don't have a bank account, they're gonna be in a bad situation. They're gonna have to learn how to do a currency conversion just so they don't lose out.
This
And
is
that
this is
that's
13. This is 1913, 33 all over again. Like we live in it. It's just
I don't know if it's Dust Bowl bad. I don't know if it's Dust Bowl bad yet, but I
I
feel
just mean
like
like
I
the bank
remember.
the banking
Yeah,
run
yeah.
we're going
Yeah,
through.
that's what I'm saying. But I
Like
remember it was like when Joe Biden had gotten office, Robert Kiyosaki said the price of gold is gonna hike up because he said Joe Biden is gonna ruin the economy, bro. And this was almost like 4 years ago or so. I remember the interview because I'm like, this shit made me go buy a lot of gold, bro. Like I'm wearing something.
yeah, I've been buying as much as
So
I
like for
can when I
real,
get a little extras. Yeah, I've seen a lot of wealthy people
it
talking about
mattered
that.
because we really have to examine what this means for us as on a world stage because like all of that crayon color situation separate nationalities when it comes to the finance part we're one single nation. So what does this mean for us as a nation of people who all use the same paper notes in order to do commerce? Because you give this shit to the Asians to go buy your weave, you give it to the Arabs to go get your gas and your liquor, and you also give it to this is what we use for interaction. So when this shit gets devalued, are we gonna be out here like Venezuela with a bunch of paper money in the streets? I'm like, I doubt the United States is going to allow it to get to that point, but we just have to, like, be mindful. Like, it's a change coming, and we have to be prepared for it. It's a digital change coming more than anything,
Yeah,
and that also means for businesses.
yeah. But like one thing I was saying, like the game may change, but the principles always stay the same, right? Or am I off with that?
No, the base principles of commerce and natural law are going to remain in place, but the manner in which it's going to be done is going to be heavily changed because there we go. It's going to be a lot less paper moving around, bro. And
Oh
then
yeah.
like we've seen it in like the Book of Eli, and then it was like the Fahrenheit movie with Michael B. Jordan when it is when to have books to an extent. They'll be they'll probably say it's an environmental violation or like it causes mold or something. They need to destroy all books and they need to record them digitally. I just told people I used to work for Google when I was younger, and I used to like be on the computers and stuff, and I used to be in the same building where they were being there scanning books into the system. And this is years ago, bro. I didn't even have like this almost 12 years ago. My first son wasn't even born. So it was
Paper reduction act.
like Google been on it, bro. They've been digitizing everything. So by you is not almost one document that you can already find online. So with that being said, they've already digitized bonds. You can go to TDA, they tell you they have digital bonds. Currency been digitized. So all only thing that we're waiting on them is to say that this no longer has value. And I've been in places over the years, and they be like, "We don't take cash." I go to multiple places that don't take cash, bro, because it's too much
When,
for them
when
to deal with.
when I first started buying gold and silver, I ran into this cat at a gun show out here, and I was asking him questions since he dealt in it to see where what he knew. But he had told me that I believe it was somewhere in Japan he went because he goes all over the world to coin shows and purchases stuff. He said they wouldn't take Federal Reserve notes, and this was a few years ago. So that
they've
really
been
got me
they've been
on like,
stop messing with us, bro.
yeah. But with that, there's no gold back in the dollar. It's us and then the petrodollar. The oil.
Texas just
So
released a
now what?
statement though. Texas just said they looking to make a gold back cryptocurrency. They just released that statement like yesterday.
Because that's what I was gonna ask. What is this? The U.S. or the
We're
CBD?
going to see like, and I was just listening to Chief Two Hawks. I was just
Yeah,
listening to
yeah.
Chief Two Hawks, one of his Instagram posts, and he was talking about how well he was explaining it from an indigenous person perspective, how tribes don't have to deal with another tribe or deal with a state or deal with the federal government in order to do the type of business that we need to do. And it doesn't need to be a recognition across the board from federal to state because the states are their own government. The way he said it is the federal government is its own sovereign. The state is its own sovereign. Tribes
Yeah.
are their own sovereign. So these are separate sovereigns contracting with another. And because sovereigns have their own governments, they also have their own currencies. What we're going to see is several sub currencies pop up that's going to be running in conjunction with FedNow. That's the only way I see it working because FedNow is going to be the system that end up replacing the FedWire system. So for international transactions in conjunction with Swift and all of that, and if we're talking about government levels, everybody's going to be working in conjunction with FedNow. So we'll probably see Miami already wanted their own cryptocurrency. Texas just said they want a gold back one. So
It's
we're
gonna
more
be
than
like
likely
a pass through, like right?
the FedNow is going to be the pass through.
Yeah, that's just gonna be the yeah.
They're gonna be the Binance for the United States. They're gonna make all this money off of microtransactions just based on them passing all of these things across the blockchain. Every blockchain transaction, get 3 cents, 3 cents, 3 cents for all of their citizens now. For every transaction, for
That
all of your citizens and every business and international businesses that come in, the United States is going to bounce back overnight. Like we're going to see the debt clock just damn near flip. I understand the economic situation and the capabilities behind transferring over into a blockchain system. So, and I also explained to somebody else, like being an economist or a capitalist, it's your job in order to scale your business model. So, the United States is a business model. It is their job to put this business in the absolute best position as it compares to their competition and on the world stage. So if that means not being behind on blockchain, transferring over to digital currency, regardless of the pains it puts your wards in, because everybody who's a United States citizen is a ward. So that don't matter because whenever they do transitions at jobs, nobody cares about how the employees feel about that shit. It just happened because it becomes the SOP, standard operating procedure. That's going to be the new SOP for the way how the United States is going to operate. And people have no choice but to entertain that shit because you don't have your own currency. So it don't matter how you feel about it. You got to do it.
That was one thing I was gonna say. Like you, kind of almost feel you have to have your own current, like to say sovereign. Like how are you sovereign and don't have money? Or a way to, yeah, money. You using somebody else's money. You kind of have to. I
But
mean,
you
when you
can have,
it makes sense
yeah,
as
I'm
far
about
as
to
like
say
try.
because assets wouldn't equate to money in its entirety. You would need what's considered like a gold and silver reserve, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's my idea of it.
That's why it's so interesting that Texas said that they would want to have a gold back coin. Like how much gold Texas got? If that's the case, how much gold does all these states have? If some of them have the ability in order to back a currency off of a reserve, and why won't the federal government back anything off of gold? So, are we learning something throughout the transition? Like, who's really got the gold? Is it the Fed? Is it the states? Is it sub departments, or is this private equity that's funding these operations who willing to put up gold for this stuff? It's a lot.
Isn't
We're gonna learn a lot.
and everything? I mean, pretty much the private sector that makes it run, right? I mean, government, politics, locally and up top. I
Yeah,
mean,
because the banks are the ones who fund the politicians and employ the transitions. It's all private sector in the end. It's a public stage of actors, and the private sector tells the public sector what they're supposed to do.
literally, somebody was saying in a conversation like how immigrants, I think it was their parent or something, they didn't know how fucked up America was. Like that's not what they knew in their country. And I'm like, well, this
That's
is a
not
bit
what they show
like
on TV.
you don't run commercials of the defects in your product. Like they're trying to tell them to come over here like that. Yeah, of course he didn't know.
That creates more tax income when they bring in immigrants. That's
Yeah, it's like when they allowed women to vote, when they allowed it's like emancipation. They enslaved everybody. They
in
freed
order
some.
to vote, you have to do what? You have to pay taxes, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
Only
it's all.
taxpayers can vote. What'd you say, bro?
I said it's all about the tax. Everything's about the tax.
That's
Do
why
whatever you want.
you gotta
Take
understand
my.
what's going on. So, with that being said, what type of transition do you think is gonna happen in the IRS? And like, it's really gonna be to a point where every single dollar is gonna be accounted for. So, like, damn, people gonna have to go dark with a lot of people gonna be out here doing Bitcoin transactions. That's why people like Bitcoin gonna go up to a billy because you're not going to want to pay taxes on every single thing that you do, and you're not going to want everyone to know where all of your money is going, especially if they remove, because it's different. You can do can switch up books. You can lie. You can't lie on a ledger, bro. You can't lie on a ledger. Like the Donald Trump situation with Stormy Daniels. Imagine if that was a cryptocurrency transaction. Like he would be super cooked. It's like there's no denying it because you will know who sent it, when they sent it, the IP
Yeah,
address, and the wallet it came from.
yeah, that's the scary part of this is just the tracking of it. You know, like
You can't.
there's nothing.
We can't do that with paper. That's yeah. It's about to be heavily regulated out here. Ooh,
And then,
God, hey,
you know,
the weed man is about to struggle, bro. The weed man about to struggle so bad. People haven't
I
even
was
thought
wondering
about
if
the
that
ramifications.
I was wondering if that was something that they were going to utilize as a backing. Just how they've taken funding from like the FBI and what is that bureau called? Uh,
Which one?
uh, Soldier. What's the bureau called? The the cannabis one. It was CBI.
Yeah, the
Cannabis Bureau, CBI. They took funding from FBI, put it into CBI, which is the
You
Cannabis
got it.
Bureau.
So
with the DEA.
let's look at the potential with this particular situation. When there comes heavily regulation and taxation, if you are found to be making illegal transactions for this, also could be the reason why they haven't pushed the cannabis laws because they've been waiting for the digital transfer that way that they can control it and tax it. So when you make all drug transactions blockchain transactions, you for damn sure can tell when there are illegal transactions happening and what they're being made for if people have to pretty much, like make notes in their books depending on the way that the standard of the way the Fed now do it. Because if the IRS is going to work in conjunction with the Fed now, that means a lot of people are going to get audited and then they're going to start asking certain people how they made this much money. So if you're somebody who has an influx of paper cash based on you doing something that's not technically a business, or if you're out here, like selling controlled substances, you possibly may be out of a job. Like for real. You may want to think about going corporate or whatever you do. Like try and get a cannabis license, try and get a research and development license if you moving white, like try and do something, fam.
You don't like the way, just because that's who comes and raises. That's where I work at dispensaries, but like that's who comes like when they raise shops, CBI and the franchise tax board, and just knowing like my homie, his wife has legal shops, and growing, you know, actual like company, that I don't smoke weed, flower and
You
shit.
said you don't smoke, you just getting
Nah,
money. I ain't mad at that.
yeah, yeah, but just knowing and sitting with her because I wanted to open one, and learning how regulated it is, the labeling, the barcodes, the certain things, and just thinking
Boy,
about
hey,
that, how it,
no, no,
how
no,
with
no, no,
crypto.
no. It's regulated for them. It's regulated for them, fam. What tribe are you from?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, that's what tribe are you from?
I'm not. I mean, I descend from Cherokee, Choctaw, and Quapaw.
Okay, but even still, there is in 2019 they passed the Cannabis Sovereignty Act. So for American Indians, there's completely different regulations for how we deal with cannabis, and also Indian business to Indian business. We do not have the same rules that a dispensary will have. So on res, motherfuckers is going crazy, like Shinnecock, Seneca going crazy, bro. They like once the Indian tribes got hip to it, they out here getting their bread. And
I never knew
a
why they
lot of
did.
a lot of dispensaries contracting with the tribes, bro.
That's how it is out here, like San Bernardino. Yeah, they all go through the tribes. But I was just saying that and relating it to the crypto. This new digital banking and how it can, like, everything is going to be so tracked. I was wondering if that might be the new backing for the currency. Like replacing the petrodollar and like maybe a cannabis crypto or
You're
something.
saying you believe the agriculture. So part
I
of
was
the issue
wondering,
with
like,
that,
something that popped in my head. I don't know.
it will be possible if Joe Biden wasn't such a prick, because he won't pass the cannabis laws in order for even like development or white papers to be made for it to be agricultural backed currency here based on something scheduled like cannabis is. He's not pro that shit. Under the Trump administration, possibly, even possibly if Ron DeSantis becomes president, possibly we can see something like that happening, because he's a little bit more. He just hate woke people. That's the only thing about Ron DeSantis. He said that shit. He banned the word woke in schools down here, bro.
It's
But
Trump's the one behind the little hemp bill or act, didn't he? If Trump got in, it would be
yeah, Biden came in place and he anything Donald Trump was planning on doing that was beneficial for the country, he came and shut that shit down, bro. That included the farm bill. So the renegotiations with China so that we can be in a better position with them, he shut that shit down and he started taking it up the butt. Went and made relationships with Ukraine over Russia when Ukraine actually in history belonged in the same jurisdiction to where Russia was. So dealing in people's shit that ain't got nothing to do with us also then got us in another bad situation.
like I think that's all. I don't know. I think it's all a play. Because looking into it, like after that, what was it, the Berlin Wall, when that
Yeah.
came down,
The crash of the
there
Soviet Union.
was a president or leader in there. Then he left office, fled to Russia, and the dude that went into office was a U.S. plant, basically. So like they've had their fingers over
It's
there for a while.
all strategic war games.
Yeah,
It's all strategic war
but
games. And
them,
they have us sitting in a pawn position on a damn chessboard, just having us observers and making us go out and operate while they operate as puppeteers and keeping us in the blind. So it's like,
movies on the TV and media make us
yeah.
feed into this fuck shit. And
And
then it's
we're
crazy, like how is cannabis illegal when their founding fathers like were farmers of it? Like it trips me out.
it's
Like how
it's illegal because they can't control it, bro. The moment, and I have the blueprint on how to properly tax cannabis that way that the United States can benefit from it. The way that they're doing it in California is completely wrong, and it's hurting the market to the point where they're losing growers. And if you're overtaxing people to the point where you're damaging the infrastructure of the business model, you clearly need to go back and adjust the business model. It's multiple people who can't even afford to grow out in California because of how bad the taxation is for grows, and in Oregon.
the homegirl, like she said, like she knows millionaires that they bankrupted like because of how they they tax it and
The taxes on that shit.
you'll get a whole run of product like boxes and things like that, and you'll have to throw it all away because a barcode's too small or it needs to go up here. Just stupid shit. Yeah, it's crazy.
Best thing I can tell anybody do: go partner with a goddamn Indian tribe. That's the best thing you can do. Either get you an exemption for research and development, like we got, or partner with an Indian tribe, like we are. So we doubled down. Like,
Let's
best
get
thing
it.
you can like.
Ready?
This is
Yeah.
chess, not checkers, man. You got to protect yourself.
Well, we're gonna get it together. We're gonna get it together. We need to get back.
That's a bet. I'm about to say we for sure we got to tap in and damn, I got to record tonight. We got the Capital Games podcast at the studio, so I'm excited for that
Yeah.
shit to drop so I can show that. But man, you got any closing
About to
words for
get
the
out of
people, bro?
steady, steady, steady. Put into action.
Dior,
Yeah, put into
do
action.
your own
More
research.
than information. Put it into action. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm about to walk out of work. Appreciate you. And, yeah, holla at you.
I appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Peace and love. So, in closing, there's a lot of BS going on right now. I hope your status is corrected. I hope you have proper identification. I hope you have a reserve that you can leverage. I hope that you have been working on your credit, and I hope you have over a 680 score. That way, you can put yourself in a position where you can either go get some jumbo credit cards or get funded. Because right now, you need to be in a position to where you're going to be set for this transfer, either and there's no and then of course if they peg it and they make it 1 for 1, meaning when they peg a cryptocurrency they usually make it a stable coin, so it'll be the currency that they use will be the same value of what the dollar is right now. That shit don't help us because the dollar value is going down right now. And once again, oh, and it's so wild because I just heard Bill Gates, he came out and spoke that they're actually trying to put a halt to the development of artificial intelligence. So understanding that there is such a disdain for the development because of humans positioning when AI when they release the cuffs off AI, a lot of people gonna lose their jobs. A lot of people gonna lose their jobs. Gain you a digital presence. Get your shit in order. That's the best thing I tell you. Dior, and make sure y'all tap into capital gains. DJBayMastermind.com. If you need anything, tap in with me. I will be doing consultations all weekend. Peace and love.
If they ain't trying to convince a nigga who they said I couldn't get this far without a distro.